こんにちは。僕はエリックです。はじめまして、よろしくお願いします。But my Japanese ここまで。My title is Grow the Difference. I think thanks to Akira-san and Takasu-san. They described one end, which is a technology, and another end is commercialization. But where is between is what I'm going to explain. So this is a slogan we use a lot in our presentation and our company because we believe the differentiating things are the root of innovation. So this is our perception to this world. We think because we are a company working for makers, we call ourselves maker for makers. So we see there's so many people, they have ideas. They are like dreamers because they don't get it in reality. Until they become makers, they use the technology around them to make the first prototype that they grow from 0 to 0.1. That is the proof of concept. But whenever they go beyond, they try to make it manufacturable. They make the first engineering sample by redesigning the layout, redesigning the CAD files of the enclosure. They become the veteran makers. And if they want, they have demands of the created, they can become the independent product maker. They create something that serves only small portion of the populations, maybe 1,000 pieces of them. So, but it's a very interesting beginning of their exploration of commercialization. They can stay like 1,000 pieces, like it's just a limited, very niche market thing. But whenever it's proven that a lot more people need it, they can become a corporation. They can hire more people to produce it in large volumes and have the venture capitalists to come in. That can ramp up to over 10,000 pieces. And I think it's a very important number because if we look at the mass production, the industry resources, they are very much friendly to volume over 10,000 pieces. In the beginning, if you talk with them, I just need 100 pieces. They will feel it's too much trouble. So that's the meaning of Seeedstudio. We are trying to bridge the gaps. We are trying to facilitate the whole process of bring an idea into small production and all the way to mass productions. But I believe a lot of new things this should start with 0.1, and they need to grow in a very proper manner. So this is what we're thinking of makers. On one end, they start from sci-fi. They look at things beyond. They have, how to say, dreams for the future. And all these sci-fi, they become science and become technology. And in the end, they will become like elements. But on the other end, people pursued for their emotions. They pursued for art, inspirations. And they evolve into more practical things, which is design. They look at specific demands and turn it and get it fixed. And the maker is somewhere between these two ends. So they look at everyday problems and use more accessible technology to make some solution. It might be a product, it might be just a project. As the scale for makers are becoming smaller and smaller, any individual, any background can make something using technology. So more citizens, more people can get involved much easier. And they have the chance either to go up into a company. And the other way is to collaborate with the bigger companies to act as their open innovation path of their business. So I think makers, they are actually crossing all the boundaries. And they, by like point-to-point collaboration, they can create something which is totally flexible and totally fit into the niche needs. If we look at several examples like Jobs and Awards, and also for the MakerBot. So Jobs was a technician, while Watts was engineer. And they started with some passion. They want to bring the professional tools to everybody. Computer used to be professional, until they create personal computers. And what has changed after that? They didn't start with a big capital. They just feel it's so cool to do it, and they did it. And they have a very small team. They collaborate very seamlessly. And they also fetch out to their community, which is the homebrew PC club. And on the other end, which is like 30 years later, when Adam, Zach, and Bray, they make their MakerBot. They are not the first, but they are the most successful desktop 3D printers. And they have the same similarity, but there is one thing changed. If you look at their background, they are software developers, web developers, and school teachers. Which means you don't need to be trained as a scientist or technician or engineer to make something. Now it's time for everybody. So I think it's time that we relook at the whole thing. I think for the past decades, we are pretty much supply chain driven way of innovating a product. But now, as we have more diverse demands, it becomes a demand chain driven innovation process. So whenever there is some very niche market demands, it get collected through some community or some social networks. And also, there is crowdfunding, which can support its marketing and capitalism. It gives a lot more people the power to make something totally unique and humble and small volume. Because on the other end, things have changed as well. The supply chain are becoming more agile thanks to the economic crisis. And also, the technology are becoming more and more open from software to hardware. And also, we have a growing community of all kinds of background. You can always find some people to help. And also, the manufacturing is becoming more addictive, which means it's much like 3D printing. It's very easy to iterate. We are also thinking that if we look at combining a software, it only takes several seconds or minutes. But if you want to compile a hardware, it might take years, months. But what if we see the hardware compilation can be several days? You can very much facilitate the iterations. For example, our industrial designers, they used to send out the prototypings out to outsource contractors. It might take 1 week. But now they have 3D printer. They can just abuse it and to make 3 different iterations in 1 day. So feel fast and feel freely. And also the tools are becoming more free. In all combined, I think it's a very new era that we can have more independent designs. They are not replacing the mass-produced products, but they are like independent movies. They are the experiments. They are the vanguards. And you don't know what's coming out of it. Sorry.
Yeah. このスライドが多分今回の肝みたいな部分で、日本に住んでる人にはちょっと説明した方がいいと思います。エリック・パンが生きている深センの世界では、ちょっと思いついては、すぐ100個200個ぐらい作ってみて、ファーチャンペイで売ってみるっていうことがもう当たり前のことになっています。深セン以外の世界では、サプライチェーン、つまり作る側と買う側、作る側が全部何がいいか決めて、誰が欲しがるか決めて、で、マーケットに売ってみて、売るか売らないかは、とか買う側のことは、買う側が考えるというか、もっと言うと買う側は物に対してほぼ何もコミットしていないという状態があります。深センのファーチャンペイには、クオリティがいいものも悪いものも、革新的なものも単なるコピーも、あらゆるものが置いてあります。そしてどれもちょっと作ってはすぐ市場に出ていて、場合によっては発明家が、これは初心者向けに作ったなと思ったんだけど、買うのはベテランばっかりだからどんどんベテラン向けにシフトしていったりとか、最初に思っていたことと全然違うものに進化することもあります。それが彼がインディーデザインって言っていることで、多分世界は変わって、発明家っていう人の役割がもっともっと、なんていうか、ユーザーに近くなって、ユーザーの役割がもっともっと発明に関与するようになって、 物を作る人、量産する人も設計とかに関与するようになって、そういういろんな人の役割がどんどん曖昧になって溶け合った市場と生産側と発明家がの真ん中に多分インディーデザインっていうのが誕生するんだろうというふうに、彼は言っています。そしてシードスタジオはそういう世界を目指して、それをサポートするために、それぞれの具体的な活動を、しています。それが彼のプレゼンの肝で、そこの話を聞きながらこの後の話を聞くと、すごくわかりやすくなるんじゃないかなと思います。Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Arigato. So I think I have missed some background. I like to add one story in corresponding to Akita's story about LSI. Because I was working for Intel for my first job. I was a process engineer. So it's kind of totally shift from all the supply chain oriented manufacturing, very huge volume to this small scale. I believe the more tools and more means will be opened and accessible to makers. For example, we have free tools. We have very agile manufacturing for PCB and PCBA. But what if we have more technologies? So I think that's the trend we are following. And here's an example. How about we see making hardware as if we assembling a DIY computer? So we used to have choose a CPU, we have main board, we have display card, sound card. You choose your the case and come up with your computer, totally trimmed, customized for your demands. But now we can look at the same way to a hardware that you can choose a microcontroller. You can choose the sensors, actuators, the energy, the power, and also you can 3D print an enclosure just to fit your demands. And that's your very niche, very independent product. It's much easier than before that you don't need to start from ground. You need to learn the programming, you need to learn the circuit, and also find the way to make up a whole product. It requires too many knowledges, but what if we can make them modular, make them standardized? And eventually, I think all these modules will become much smaller and smaller, and they will be, like say, we have more chipsets inside, like LSI, you can design your own functionalities, totally trimmed. So we are experimenting with this in hope that even middle school kids, they can just simply put them together and they download some open source firmware and it's some prototype good to go. Since we are lowering the barrier, we are inviting more people to join the maker community. I think we have a very massive base for everybody to innovate. And also because of the open source way, we have to use open source technology so we can save our energy and time and also to accomplish something we cannot before. And also, since the creations are usually faulty, there might be something needs a lot of improvement. So they will choose to open source again to invite more people to help. So the technology is becoming more like a gene that can be inherited. And also, makers are never satisfied for what's existing. They bring mutations. If we look at all the elements, if we think the products, they are like creatures. They are evolving. In the very beginning, in the craftsmanship, they were starting with a very simple, very small volume. And now, I think it's very much like the dinosaurs' age. Very huge, massive produced. But as the climate changes and the competition grows, there might be the small mammals. They can survive in all the niche markets. And some of them can evolve into a very potential future creature. So that's the maker movement, what we see they can output. And we see the innovations for now, until now, a lot of the innovations they are inside the screens, which means the screens you are looking at. Computers, mobile phones. And then the innovation becomes between the screens, which means internet and mobile internet. But what's next? I think the objects around us, the desk, the building, our shoes, the clothes, they're still as thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago. What if they can get connected? What if you can make them intelligent? So I think that's a lot of opportunities beyond the screens. And the makers are making all kinds of things. They are reinventing the wheels. They are making satellites. They are making robots, of course, and glasses. So I think it's a very interesting diversity age that you can feel free to look at your interests and to pursue it. Why we are doing this? There was thanks to Takasu to bring us to the motion science this morning, because it was the same reason. Like 7 years ago, I went to an exhibition in Beijing. It's about interactive installations, new media arts. I was purely an engineer before that, but that exhibition totally opens my mind that electronics can be arts, and who is doing all the things behind the scene? They are makers. They are totally open and sharing. Then I moved from Beijing to Shenzhen because it's a Hollywood for makers. If we look at the map of Shenzhen, if you search manufacturing in Google Maps, you will find all the red dots. They are manufacturer-related companies. Maybe small company, maybe big factory. But you can find all the supply chain, like driving in 1 hour, and they have the scale from very small prototyping to all the way to the huge manufacturing. The infrastructure is there, the talent is there, and as hardware is becoming the new software, another people move to Shenzhen, another people start to understand about Shenzhen, and so we have to make a map for them because too many people coming over. And I think that's because of this, Shenzhen gave us the best earth, best ground to start to serve for the makers. We're not just standing there to use all the resources, but we're also trying to hack the Shenzhen ecosystem. You know the $12 mobile phones. So it's very convenient and very cheap. But what if we can open source it up? We can make them accessible for makers to use. What if you can use these cheap solutions for Internet of Things? What if you can put the mobile phone into your shoes for your dogs? So that's something we are releasing later this year. We want to enable people to have the opportunity, for example, make a mobile phone for your dog so it can call its mom. And then you can also text it, where are you? So we are thinking that thanks to the consumer electronics, there are so many technologies that get liberated, upgraded, and keep becoming more and more accessible. So we will keep hacking the most popular consumer electronic technologies so maker can use them for something totally irrelevant and differentiating. The mobile phone is $12, and that one is like $30.
これはシードスタジオが、確か9月か10月ぐらいに販売を予定しているリンキット1という、オープンソース電話を作るキットです。これを買うと、まず深センの街中には、よく12ドルの携帯電話と言われるんですけど、12ドルで携帯電話が売ってます。深センで完全にコモディティ化されてオープンソース化されたシステムは12ドルで中に液晶ディスプレイとバッテリーとキーボードと文字を打つ機能とちゃんと中国語を出す機能と、それが入ったものを12ドルで作ることを可能にしています。そしてシードスタジオはそれをさらにバニースタジオっていう、MIT のアンドリュー・バニーファンという研究者と一緒になってじゃあ深センの12ドルの携帯電話を誰でも作って深センの外側でも設計して売れるようにオープンソース電話キットを作ろうと思って作ったのがこれです。30ドルで中に入っている全部のオープンソースでこの機能が全部揃ったものが、買えます。で、エリック・パンはみんなに電話だけを作ってほしいわけではなくてこれが買えるっていうことは電話の機能を備えた IoT をプラス30ドル払えば誰でも作れるっていうことを言っています。そして、中身の、確かこの ARM プロセッサーは Arduino とコンパチブルのはずで、Arduino、と同じような制御がこの電話はできるはずで、GSM だから日本では使えないんですけど、でも日本で使えるバージョンもそのうち出すというふうには言ってます。
Make fair Shenzhen. Since last Make Fair, we keep advocating this sentence. It's called Innovate with China. We print the sentence in everything we sell because we feel that it used to be made in China only. Now it's becoming copied to China because a lot of new models, new business patterns are new to Chinese market. But I think in the future, and starting from now, it's innovative with China. Because aside from all the supply chains we are talking about, there is also a huge market which is growing. What I want to emphasize here is innovate with Japan. I think it's the 5th time coming to Japan. And I was very frequent with, not that frequent, but I'm totally cheered up when I come to Japan. Because there's so many so good designs, so many good technologies. And we can build a bridge, like we're working with Switch Science to port more talents over that we can help to manufacture in China and also distribute it to the world. I believe there can be a lot of synergy between Japan and China makers. And this year, thanks to Takasu-san, we have over 100 Japanese makers to Shenzhen. And I think quite some of you have been there. That's the hottest maker fair and it's outdoors. I'm sorry for that. But people are totally get cheered up for all the cool demonstrations, like the external robots, like the artificial hands, and also Nico-Tech. This is the first performance of Nico-Tech in China, and after that, I think they are very busy with all the Chinese opportunities because everybody been to this performance, loved it so much. And I think this will open up more conversations between the two countries, and we wish to welcome more makers to Shenzhen, and we will of course bring more makers to Tokyo. And it's one more word for China. In the beginning of this year, this is Premier Minister Nico-Chang, and he happens to become the member of our makerspace. So he come to Shenzhen and he visited several big companies, but he come to the makerspace. He really understands that we need very high-tech industry, but we also need more fundamental base for the pyramid. So it's calling the area of mass innovation, mass entrepreneurship. And we also call it in the Wall Street, it's Make with Shenzhen. So you will see we are building a lot of maker spaces around China, and we are totally in short of makers. So we come to China, and I believe there are not more industries we can fetch, like for wearables. We can look at all the jewelry makers. For automobile, we can look at all the car parts factories. So there could be a very interesting opportunities thanks to his visit. Thank you. I think a lot of people talk about, I want to use that video to say that there are a lot more opportunities for previous required DIY. Now it's not only about DIT, it's also about you can do something you like and keep it going. And for Shenzhen, people talk a lot about it's like the capital of Shenzhenism. They show you the Huaqiangbei, which is like a market for electronic components. But to me, I moved to Shenzhen for 7 years. It's becoming more like a place you can call it the third hometown. And we have, yes, factories. We have markets, but we also have the best weather and air quality in the big city of China. So welcome to Shenzhen. Thank you.